NFL action for Sunday from Frankfurt, Germany. It's the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Well, I mean, why not put your best game of the season in another country? You're going to move the Super Bowl to London. Might as well practice here in Frankfurt, Germany. We would like to see this game. And look, I mean, we didn't. I don't know. We didn't know. I mean, everybody said the Dolphins would be pretty okay this year, pretty decent, right? They looked good. The Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender. Well, I guess in Germany, you don't go to Germany very often. Um, I want to say they played. This might be the second game in Germany. I don't think it's the third game. Let me see. I think I have that here in this. I think I have it here. The Germany factor. It's not the only game in Germany this season. I mean, they'll play one more. It's next week. They'll be the Patriots and the Colts. So, two games in Germany at the Allianz Arena in Munich. Um, no, I'm sorry. It's in Frankfurt. I just said that, didn't I? Frankfurt. Uh, Munich was last year. So both these games will be played at the Deutsche Bank Park. That's what it is. The Deutsche Bank Park here. And the Chiefs. No problem, Brent. Um, I just do it because, I like to have some videos in advance and promote some of the picks and everything. So we just do. That's why we do some of my weekend games in advance, and Tony does them in advance. So no problem, brother. Great job today. Of course, this is this. If you're a local, you're headed out to the Waldstadion there in Frankfurt. But so far, the London games went 0-3 to the under, and the overseas games over the last 7 years are now at 9-17 to the under. And these totals are always just so high. But there's no doubt that um, the last five, let's see, the last five NFL neutral site games, so this includes um, the overseas games, but it also includes, I believe I have one that was a game that was moved. I'd have to research. I only have the list of games here, but the last five that have had a total of 49 or higher have gone 4-1 to the under. So I don't think Taylor Swift, Mike, is going to be traveling to Germany for this one, right? Although I don't know, maybe it is. Wouldn't that be something? I mean, she is a world traveler. I mean, it's not hard for her to get up and go to Germany. It wouldn't be like me going to Germany. It'd be, I'm sure, a traumatic experience at this point. So, anyways, let me get to a little pick action here. The Chiefs, look, the line here down to one. Um, there were some lines that had Chiefs a little bit higher than this, even on the look ahead for sure. Had Chiefs maybe as high as a 4.5, five, maybe even a 6 point favorite in the earliest look aheads before maybe a slight slip here for the Chiefs to a certain extent. But looks like the Sharps want to continue to pound Miami here. And seems like a pretty, I don't know. I kind of, there's one factor. I don't know if anybody's looking at this like we did in the other games, but um, the Dolphins, they're there. The Chiefs, I think they're going today. So the Dolphins have been there. They're, waiting, they're prepping. And the Chiefs, we saw what happened, right? When the team comes in at the last moment, they got beat. Remember Jacksonville and Buffalo came in at the last minute? So I don't know if that's my angle, But I already kind of want to take a shot with the Dolphins, and I'd rather do it on this neutral field. Sharps are all Dolphins. There's no, I don't think there's any getting around it. I don't know. I'm supposed to know who the Sharps are on. Do you think that the Sharps, whoever they may be, when we talk about Sharps, we're just basically trying to categorize winning NFL betters. We don't know who they are. They don't advertise themselves, but we can look at line movement a little bit of going against the grain. There's no problem here. The Dolphins aren't an unpopular pick, certainly, even with the general public. While this game may be a toss up, I don't know. Let me see what the ticket count to me. I'm showing it mostly in favor of Kansas City. In fact, it looks pretty heavy as far as the spread is concerned, maybe because of the cheaper price. But I want Miami in this game. I'm taking Miami to win the game. Probably on the under two. I don't get it, Mike, with Taylor Swift's age. Is that the total? No, let's see. Hmm. Trying to make a funny out of that, but I can't figure it out. Okay, give me the Dolphins here with, you know, this situation with the travel. I mean, it really has me concerned that these teams are not making the right decision when going over there right now. You have the Dolphin Mostert, he's active. I mean, it doesn't matter who the Dolphins are throwing out there at running back. These guys are all terrific. It just seems like they just, there's got to be something. When you see like players like multiple players in one role excelling, like they are, yeah, the Dolphins have some outside weapons that other teams don't have for sure, and they have a quarterback that throws a pretty good. But when the Dolphins are getting to the outside with these speedy running backs a little bit, with a lot of sometimes misdirection, you know who that is. You know who that is. That's our guy, Coach Logic, working it all together. So I don't know. He looked a little goofy in that last interview, but hope he's got everything under control because right now he's got the world on his shoulder. World, he's on top of the world. Coach Logic and the Dolphins here in good position. One of the best games of the season is going to be played at 9:30 in the morning Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, and we've got to sit through all these. Can I say it, Tony? We've got to sit through all these shitty games on Thursday night and Sunday night and even Monday night, and here we are, basically 6:30 on the West Coast, and you know there are some other matchups that maybe you could call the matchup of the season, but when you think of these two offenses, this is what you want to be watching, right? And the Dolphins and the Chiefs. You want to watch this more than the Buffalo and the Chiefs or the Bengals, right? Because of the Dolphins' spectacular offense right now. So, well, I don't know what these guys are doing, and it's hard to plan things a year in advance. I get that, or 6 months in advance, whatever. And they want to put some good teams over there, but sure feels like, and I'll be up. We'll be up. Well, you know where we'll be. We'll be right here on the air on Sunday, at least throughout the first quarter. I mean, we'll be off the air early if we can for that one. Want to at least get into the second half and enjoy it. So let's take the. I'm going to take the Dolphins here. Minnesota Vikings and Atlanta Falcons NFL action. This one is for Sunday, and we've seen just big news this week from this game, from this matchup. We know everything that's going on certainly here with the Minnesota Vikings and their bummer here this season with losing their quarterback for the remainder of the season. It won't be like people say the Achilles injuries and whatnot, but one of the things is like with Aaron Rodgers, his injury isn't to his push off leg, so that also is kind of helping him maybe to get back earlier. While for Cousins, it is. So, anyways, the Falcons have moved to a big favorite here because of the move that the Minnesota Vikings will have to move to Jared Hall to be the quarterback. And while they did acquire Dobbs this week, probably going to need a week of work with him. Uh, on that trade. But I does think that Dobbs would be the quarterback moving forward, acquiring him for specifically that. Interestingly, they would, go, yes, while Dobbs is gaining massive experience, and maybe there were other quarterbacks out there and available, but this is the move they've made, interestingly. But they'll have Hall this weekend. And for Atlanta, maybe the move is because bettors are feeling more confident that Taylor Heineke will be in there this week at quarterback rather than Desmond Ritter. People have kind of soured on Ritter here a little bit. Remember, Ritter was winning all the games at home with Atlanta, and that became kind of his theme because he had never lost at home in college. Not never, but I mean, had an incredible record in college and was also winning games at home with Atlanta. But now maybe they've caught up to him a little bit, and Atlanta certainly a little bit overrated, maybe with some of those wins. Here comes Ray. Here's on the Vikings and Atlanta for Thomas. And Mike says maybe it'll be he's got that's the other game, I think. Ferner on the Falcons here in this one. So that's I think kind of what we're looking at. So Heineke certainly, even when he was with Washington, people said, "Hey, we like it with Heineke in there," and we kind of liked Heineke in there as well. So it's just interesting that that Heineke's ended up here in this spot with Atlanta. So we've only seen kind of more move to the over here as this news is kind of unfolded. In fact, it got hit again to the over yesterday. And it just seems I know the Vikings have a rookie quarterback in here. Um, but I kind of like these fast tracks a little bit. I don't necessarily like when they put these I do like when they put these low totals on the indoor games a little bit. I get it. I mean, the Vikings, certainly have, their work cut out for them with a rookie quarterback this week against Atlanta. I mean, the spread has totally moved in Atlanta's favor, and I don't know. I'd probably be more interested in trying to find my way back onto the underdog here at this high number, and think that they do have a chance. I'm sure they're going to get overlooked big time, and that might be enough to catch my eye. Tickets are running 3-2 in favor of Atlanta right now. So, all right. Well, for me, I'm going to take the over. I can't stand it. I get it. I mean, rookie quarterback here for Minnesota. They are, if anything, it does feel a little bit unfortunate. Like they are a little bit up against the time this week and whatnot. So maybe that will also help Atlanta in terms of uh, field position, getting the ball where they can capitalize on uh, Minnesota's shortcomings right now as they try to fix things here and what was really just a late breaking situation, right? I mean, that happened very late in the game with Cousins. They knew going in, they knew that night they were done, but they had to act quickly and appropriately. Amazing they'd end up, um, you know, I thought that maybe there were some other bigger name quarterbacks out there that they could make a move for, but this is where they've ended up. All right, give me the. I'll still take the over in this one. The Seattle Seahawks and Baltimore Ravens. NFL action for Sunday in Baltimore up to a 6-point favorite here now against Seattle coming in, interestingly enough. I note it because uh, certainly when you think of the type of success that both teams have had this season, I mean, this game opened Baltimore as low. I saw a low opener of as low as 3 at one book. So it's really been kind of one-sided movement here this week for the Ravens. I think the general opener was mostly 4.5 or 5s, but just to note that one book in New Jersey was as low as -3 here for the Ravens. You got to look. We know the Ravens play defense. Seattle's defense certainly is. I don't know if it's underrated, underappreciated, under talked about, whatever the case may be. Seattle's defense has been pretty decent this season, and more so at home. Certainly, they have all those advantages. But I don't know if I can trust laying this many points. I mean, I want to take the points. Thomas says, "Give me Seattle," and the total. I mean, the total looks ridiculous to me. It looks too high. I mean, I think I've got defensive teams here, don't I? Sure, Seattle has Geno, the explosiveness. Everyone says Geno's been down, and he has been down to a certain extent. Now he's still got the weapons, but you're going up against a team that, well, I don't know. Baltimore's supposed to be playing some pretty good defense right now. So I feel like I've got two good two good things here going for me. I'm taking Seattle here plus the points. I think it's too high. I think it's a one touchdown game. So it's going to be close. I mean, no doubt. But somewhere I think between 3 and 6 points will be the deciding range of the score, and I think this one actually might be one touchdown, and maybe even as high a touchdown too high here. So what was the opener here? 43 at one offshore book. Did see some 43. So yeah, Thomas says the Ravens defense has to show up here in this one, don't they? I mean, do they not ever? Do they take you know games off? Doesn't feel like they do. The tickets are running very very high to the over in this one from what I see. So maybe the public likes the over. Look, Lamar, MVP Lamar here, right? I mean, look, Lamar's playing great. No doubt about it. I mean, the Ravens 6-2, but the Seahawks are that team. They're 5-2. Nobody, don't forget about the Seahawks. Um, you know, got a Coach of the Year candidate obviously going on here. Hi, Howard. Nice to see you. So I've got to take these points. I mean, it feels to me like Seattle must have a pretty decent team. They're playing well this season. They can get this inflated number. They have, uh, you know, remember the Cleveland Seattle game? That was two good defenses. And yeah, while there did turn out to be a little scoring, I don't know. This feels like a defensive game in the high 30s to me. And I want more point. I want the points with that. So, all right, give me the Seahawks here. I think it's going to be a low. This is just it's tough. It's Thursday. I've already said, look, you could have as many as 11 quarterbacks this week that are backups, basically in the game, and that's what you have here as well with this matchup with the Cardinals going up against the Browns. We don't even know. I don't even think we can even. Officially say who the starting quarterbacks. I think we kind of know who it's going to be, but um, do we do we know do we know what these two teams are going to be doing this week? When you see something like this, man, you got to be thinking, how are we going to end up scoring any points out here? But uh, the steam's already come rolling in on the under. 30, is it 37.5 or is it 32? here because I don't know. To me, it feels like it's going to be a dead solid under in this one. I kind of want to take it now before it feels like it's going to go lower. And to me, it feels like it has gone kind of lower enough. I should probably put it at 37. No, it looks like there's 37 and a half across the board here in this one. So, uh, look, Kyler Murray, he's getting closer, right? This week, this could be. Let's see. Thomas says Browns win, Cardinals cover. Cardinals got they're such a hard trying team, aren't they? Now, granted, uh, say what you will about Dobbs, he couldn't win any games, but he knew how to cover spreads. And he hadn't been there quite that often, and they had rolling with Dobbs. They're always competitive. It's been great. You know that the Cardinals have been able to, uh, be competitive in some of these games, but they really they do end up failing late. Now, granted, they did get the money last week in Baltimore, but uh, they lost and they failed at Seattle by 1 point. They lost 20-10. They were getting 9. They got blown out by the Rams. They were getting a touchdown. They got blown out at home by the Bengals, but they were in it early. That's the funny thing, right? But they still lost by 2 touchdowns, a 3 point dog. And then they lost at the Niners by 19, getting 15. So we say the Cardinals, uh, yeah, I agree with it. They are competitive at some points in the game, but they are 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 games, covering the last game. Deshaun Watson, questionable, right? So we don't know what's going on. It makes this game very tough. To kind of you know put our play out there a little bit. It feels like. So the more I think about it, the more I want to come in on Arizona. Maybe we'll see what the line is, and the line's already gone down enough for me that I'm uncomfortable. But um, I want to take the under, so I'll just take under 30. Call it 37 for me, but I think you get 37 and a half. I'm going to take the under with the Cardinals and the Browns this week. So here we are again with more quarterback issues because it's Matthew Stafford this time that now all of a sudden has an injury. He's got an injured thumb, and we'll never see Stetson Bennett. We don't even know what's going on with. I just mentioned Stetson Bennett because there was some, it came up this week that uh, we don't know what we don't know if it's an injury, a suspension, do we? With what's going on, has anybody called Stetson Bennett to see what's going on here? Anyways, in a matchup with an established quarterback like Jordan Young, don't really know what's going to happen with the Rams this week in this situation. So more uncomfortability here. That's why we've seen the Packers as bad as they've been so far. And I was one early saying, "Hey, let's give Jordan Love a chance." I like when these quarterbacks sit out a couple years, observe what's going on, and I don't know, for the first week or two, Jordan Love was making plays, but it all fell apart. But here, uh, it doesn't feel like Stafford's going to play because the Packers are a 3 point favorite. In fact, I don't know, they might be 3.5 in some spots. But you think they're going to cover a spread? Yeah, they're 3.5 now out there at some spots at this point. But man, that doesn't feel great at all. I don't feel like I want to trust the Rams, to cover any numbers. And like I said, a little bit concerned here. We don't know what's going to happen with the Rams. I do want to take the over. I wish we knew a little bit more about the situation at quarterback, but um, I'm still. I want to lean. I want to lean to the over. Let me take a look here. Yeah, questionable with that thumb injury. Well, I do like to give out a play here on the show, and I don't, I'm not sure I'm trusting the Packers here even at this point. But I guess if Stafford isn't going to play, it's going to be certainly more difficult. This team came rolling in on the under for the most part, but I kind of want to get on the over here. And I don't want to lay this with the Packers. What do you guys have? This is terrible. All right. Well, I guess we'll make the call here in this one. And um, what are you guys saying here? Oh, who's the Rams? Um, Boise State. Rippin. Brett Rippin is the backup for the Rams. He certainly has experience. So I'm going to take the over. I am going to take the over. That settles it. That kind of settles it for me too. So Thomas maybe on the Rams here. That's a tough one. It's a tough one this week. A lot will be decided on Sunday. That's what it feels like to me, as far as the plays are concerned. Well, at least we have two quarterbacks we know and trust here with some of our favorite guys, Baker Mayfield and CJ Stroud. One of the best quarterbacks in the league at this point. The way these quarterbacks are falling the wayside and the way Stroud has looked and the success that he's had so far. Yeah, the Texans are 3-4, but it does feel like CJ Stroud has been pretty terrific and no reason why he probably won't be here in this game. They opened up uh, as low as a pick 'em. They're already up to 2.5 or so. Wow. Okay. And this total, I don't know, 38, 39. You got CJ Stroud in there. Now I know the Buccaneers have done everything defensively. There's two defensive teams really so far. But I feel like this one's going to go over. I don't know if we're going to see the defense here. Again, this is like, to me, looks like the fast track a little bit necessarily. I don't know if it's going to be a defensive game like you might expect. Ray here is on the Texans, and here's Thomas on the Texans. You guys are on the Texans. I'm on the Texans. Let's lay it -2.5 against the Buccaneers with the Texans. They feel like a sleeper a little bit too, don't they? Moving forward, so they'll get to 500 here if they win this game, and I would think they will. Let's take the Texans today. Sunday. Let's take the Texans on Sunday. All right, I want to get this show on the road here with the Commanders and the Patriots. And again, here's one where we know at least who's in that quarterback this week uh, with our man Mac Jones. Here's the thing, Mac Jones, right? Mac, you're too uptight. You're too uptight, Matt. Loosen your shoulder, right? Matt goes out there last couple of weeks, not the same uptight Mac. He's got his shirt untucked. Uh, it looks like a change of attitude to a certain extent. I don't know if it's going to result in much on the field for Mac. Maybe it's not going to be the answer. Uh, moving forward. But here they are. They're favored by a field goal. It's three, I think, for the most part. I should probably call it three. Feels like it's three for the most part. Maybe if I take the Patriots here, I can bump it back up to 3.5 and penalize, make it tougher. But I don't know. I'm kind of pro Mac all of a sudden, uh, a little bit. At least in a matchup like this against the Commanders. Looks the Commanders. We've seen them trading their pass rusher last week. Maybe they're looking to the future a little bit. It doesn't feel like a fire sale or anything, but you know, maybe they are being responsible. Actually, maybe some players aren't going to be worth their weight in gold moving forward when they go up for those big contracts, and maybe they're already turned the corner past their prime or going to get too much money for a position that you can replace. Some guys are hard to replace. I mean, maybe Chase Young is that guy, but I like Mac here, and I think Mac can have a good game actually, and I think the Commanders also can produce some offense here in this one with Sam Howell. I think this will be a fun game actually. I think this will be this might be a shootout, believe it or not, even with Mac in there. I think this has a chance of being. Do I have the total too high on my line here? No, 41. We've only seen this line kind of go up. This one opened as low as 39. I tend to trust a move like that, right? I mean, most people are going to be like, oh, Mac, come on, Mac. And, Sam Howell, I guess, I don't know what the perception is of public perception is of Sam. I guess I think they're looking at a backup still for the most part. But I think he can sling it a little bit. But to me, Mac looks more relaxed. Something has happened here over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if it's gonna. I make proclamations on here when I like a quarterback or something like that. I don't know if it's going to turn around for Mac long term, but I like what I saw the last 2 weeks. I saw a guy with his shirt tucked out, not looking uptight at all. Could have had something to do with the matchup, the opponent, whatever. He looked more comfortable. So I'm probably willing to lay some points here with the Patriots in this one. Just give me Mac Jones here. I don't want to lay. I'll put 3.5. I know you can get 3, and I don't want to move the line just for myself to make a good line. But I think it is enough threes out there that anybody can get 3. I'll certainly buy it down. I might even be just on the money line here personally. This is a free play on the show up to lay 3.5. I think the Patriots have the best chance to win this game and cover the spread here against the Commanders. Patriots get a little bit healthy here. Look, they're not dead. I want to say with 6 losses, they need to win. They need a winning streak, and this is the Patriots. It's not beyond them, but they're going to need to win. You know, certainly at least 7 more games. I would get 6 or 7 more games. So take the Patriots here with the Commanders in this one, and I got Mac to look good. All right, it's going to be, and I include the bag boy in there as one of the quarterbacks that is a backup here in the spot, and you guys know I'm on bag boy. I mean, I like bag boy. Okay, I'm sorry he had a bad game. I don't know. Maybe it is over his head, but I think the Bears fans are hoping um, that Badgett is the guy long term over Fields. Now, I don't want to kick Fields to the curb, and maybe they can get something for him too. The way, quarterbacks are falling by the wayside in this league. He's out with that thumb injury. He's, going to be able to come back. But the Bears aren't in any position, to be competitive this season. So they already have this Division 2 quarterback in there who looks great, by the way. He looks great in the pocket. He has one of the strong. I don't know. I've seen him throw some deep balls. Um, I'm just a guy here. I haven't really seen, what they're saying too much. It looks like he has one of the stronger arms in the league right now. Out of all the quarterback, arm strength, throwing the ball far down the field is what I mean. Not hard bullet passes or anything like that. Big arm for Badgett, right? Yeah, his dad was like a world champion arm wrestler, apparently. So there's got to be something to arm strength there. I didn't know that. I said this guy, they had already talked about him a little bit, and you had to go back. And I'm not saying I'm like, oh, I went back and watched some film. No, I didn't do that. I just listened to what people said, then researched his career certainly a little bit. I mean, the guy has as decorated as a Division II quarterback as there was. But then you see him in person a little bit, and you're like, wow, this guy throws, and look at his size is good and everything. The tools are there. Sometimes people just get lost in the shuffle a little bit. When you go to a lower level and exceed, like, crush every record, right? So maybe if he was in Division 1, what would have been? Maybe just some. Maybe he would have been a good quarterback. Maybe he would have been a guy like, hey, wow, this guy could be a top, and he was a draft pick. But I mean, um, certainly for Badgett, or was he? Let's see. I don't want to quote that wrong. I thought he was still. Uh, oh, he was an okay. He was an undeclared free agent, right? Okay. So, but he dropped out of the draft. I think what happened was he dropped out of the draft because I don't think the prospects were there, and the Bears were already, he's from Illinois, so they were going to be interested. And there was no doubt. I mean, if you could take a guy like this and he is something, and you have a fine, that's one thing. But uh, you at least got to have the tools. The tools are there. You just don't know. I mean, there's a reason why he was a Division II quarterback. So, anyways, enough of that. I'm blah blah blah. Saints do have a lot of injuries, if I'm not mistaken, on this report this week. I mean, you got uh, Thomas questionable. We did see him out there, but he's listed with an illness. Um, Even Taysom Hill's found his way here to the injured list. So there are guys on this. It's a pretty deep injury list at this point. So, all right. Well, I'm on my man. Badgett again. I'm on bag boy, bag boy. What you gonna do when we bring your food? I'm taking him. I'm taking him plus 9 points. And I'm, not necessarily saying let's get on the Bears here. Let's move on the Bears. I mean, I don't know, maybe 2 wins. This is where they, need to be, or where they're supposed to be at this point. But, beat the Raiders. Yeah, did they get blown out in that game by the Chargers? I had the Bears last week. This is a second consecutive road game. I get all that. But I'm going to try the Bears. Maybe a little bit different situation facing Derek Carr. Than um, Justin Herbert. That's his name, Justin Herbert. All right, give me the Bears.